All right, welcome to another episode of Addicted to the Q. We thank everybody for showing up to the podcast this evening. We have Brian, Mr. Sofa King Awesome Barbecue himself. We have Bradley, Meat Mistress, and then our guest this week, a couple of the group from the Smokin Elvises competition barbecue team. We have Randall Updike, known as Red, and then we got Big Blue. We got Doug Smith. How you guys doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Doing
Good,
well.
Kev.
Doing
Thanks
well.
for having us.
No, we appreciate you guys coming on. I know we talked about this quite a while back, so I'm glad we finally could get everything coordinated. So this is awesome. This is awesome. So I've known Randall. I've known you since, I was trying to think when that was, 1988. So I've known you for a long time. Doug, not quite as long, but I've known you for quite a while, so I know you guys well. But obviously, your guys is going back to the competition days. Before we dive into that stuff, I want to ask, because I don't think I know this, how did Smokin Elvises form? How did you guys meet? And then how has it morphed since? The only thing I saw back barbecue data started in 2007. I don't know how far back barbecue data goes, but kind of talk about how you guys came together as a team and how things have morphed over all the years.
Yeah, absolutely. 1988, Kevin, ironically, was the first year I judged barbecue. That was the first year of the Kearney contest, the Jesse James barbecue contest here in Kearney, Missouri.
Yeah.
And it was the first year they had it. My mother was a city clerk. And as you alluded to, Kevin and I went to school together at Northwest Missouri State. And my mother called me while I was up there and said, "Hey, would you like to come judge a barbecue contest that we're doing for the first time at the Jesse James event?" Yeah, absolutely. I would like to do that.
Free food as a college kid.
Right. And so, but then she said, "Well, do you think you could get 3 or 4 of your buddies to come do it too?" And there was literally almost a fist fight to get into my Blazer to drive down here because, of course, everybody wanted to do that.
And didn't you have Corey Clevenger with you?
Corey, right. And I mean, nicknames were formed that weekend, Kevin. That was, yeah. So Corey came. Brad Hahn came.
Oh, okay.
So we had all these guys, and we came down, judged it, and then, it was great. Corey is a very large individual, and when we were all done eating, and again, college kids, free food, we didn't just take one bite.
Ate the whole thing.
Yeah. Table captains starved at our table, and we all came back to my house afterwards, and Corey is a big guy. He laid on the couch, and that's where he got the nickname Couch, because he took up the whole damn couch. It was just and slept for a couple hours. Everybody was full, had a couple of beers, and 4 pounds of barbecue. But that was a great success, right? We loved it, had a great time. So for the next couple of years, we would always go back and do that. And it was, different friends that would come with me, but we'd always come do it. Then eventually we graduate, we go off on our lives and all that. And what happened was that became a reunion of sorts. No matter where I was living, whether it was Michigan, Wisconsin, wherever, we would always come home to Kearney for that. And people wherever they were would come too, and we'd meet and we would judge. And then finally in 2000, I moved back here. We judged, and I said, you know what? Now that I live here in Kearney, let's try it from the other side and let's cook.
Okay.
And so that's what we did. And God help us that, having no idea, there were no classes. There was no YouTube on how to do this stuff.
Exactly.
Right. And so the only thing we were remotely interested in winning was the showmanship competition. We thought that's the only way we had a shot. Mm-hmm. So we happened to have jumpsuits from back before the barbecue started, where we would go out to
happen to have those.
Just happened to have them, right? So we did that. We said, we'll be the Smokin Elvises. That's ridiculous. And we'll at least maybe win showmanship or something. And we set up giant pillars and turned the place into a Graceland and had a ball. And the worst thing, and you guys know this is true, the worst thing that could have happened. We won showmanship, but we got 8th place honorable mention in brisket. Right?
So then you're hooked. The treble hooks in.
That's exactly right. And we thought, man, this is easy. We didn't even know what we were doing. We got this. We'll come back next year. And of course, you get skunked for a few years and you do that. But so then that was the original crew, the Smokin Elvises, but I was here, and so I wanted to do more than just carny. So practicing out in the driveway, and a smoker is the ultimate area dad magnet, right? Anytime you have a smoker in the driveway, everybody, whether you know them or not, all the guys are going to come talk to you, want to look under the hood, and do all this, and that's where Jeff Perry and Andrew Battles, who lived across the street, came over. And so in 2004, Andrew went to a contest with me in that summer, and I was still going under Smokin Elvises. Jeff finally came. The first year we did the Royal was 2004. The very first contest he came was that American Royal 2004. Yeah. So then the next year, and of course, we're not winning anything. We're just spending ridiculous money and having a good time. Yeah. And then in 2005, we got a little bit more serious. And we ended up winning two grand championships that year.
Oh, and, sweet.
Yeah, I got to go to the Royal and the Invitational and, take it a little more serious. Had a real good year that year. But that's where it was born. And Doug and Jeff had worked together and were buddies. And so, Doug, I don't know what year you officially first really stayed the whole weekend. You might have been 2005. Doug, I know you were around about then. Is that about right?
I think the first one I stayed over at was beginning of 2006 season. I think it was Platte City.
Okay. That makes sense. I know for a fact, I remember very well sometime in that time, whenever you graduated with your master's, we had, like so many of us do, forgotten, I think it was lettuce, for God's sake, at a contest. And we couldn't get out of there. So we're calling, and it was Doug was literally dressed to go to his college master's graduation. And we made him come to the Platte City contest and bring us a bag of lettuce on the way.
That's awesome.
So you can't be more of a teammate than that, right? I mean, there it was.
That's kind of like jumpsuit-esque if he's got the gown on and everything. I mean, it's getting there.
So there you go. After that, we changed our mask. Our logo had just the Thunder Pig, the Spastic Chicken, and the Nordic Steer, and then we added Doug as the Bull Moose right after that. So we've been doing this it's pushing 20 years.
Yeah, it is. It's you guys have been doing it forever. I mean, you're the one who, I won't say you got me into it, but you gave me a lot of input early on to help me dive into the money pit that all of us are into. So
we fools love company, Kevin. So come on.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. So now, Doug, so everybody's spread out now. So talk about who's on the team now, and obviously there's an offshoot from the team that kind of formed his own here recently in the last few years.
Right. I mean, everybody's still on the team, Kevin. As far as competitions other than the Royal, though, I do Ironman on those right now during the year because with everybody else being in Kearney, they've offshoot and they now have their own teams and they do local contests, and then I do contests, here and in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Down in Wichita. Yep.
Yeah. I've seen you at several of those in Oklahoma and stuff like that. And you're that Ironman thing. I know what it's like. Every now and then you got a helper, or I do. You and I kind of, we get one, and then I think they realize we're crazy, or they just don't want to deal with us again. So we have to find somebody new. Even Brian has kind of stopped coming to help me, I think, lately. So
yeah, I start begging about 2 weeks before each contest to see if I can find a helper to come and support.
I still remember, wasn't because I didn't do Olathe this year, but was it the year before where you said you brought 2 guys, and I'm like, oh, you got 2 pledges, or maybe you called them pledges. We haven't seen him since Olathe. That, of course, it was really cold last year.
Yeah.
So,
what kind of pledging ceremony did you have for them kids?
Well,
There's a whole lot of chicken.
When I met Randall, I was hazed a lot. Let's just say that. Statute of limitations have to be over by now, Randall.
I would think so. Yeah, you're free to discuss.
What were you guys cooking on back when you first started?
Oh yeah, that was it was a Lifetime trailer offset, stick burner, and that's what we used for the first all the way through 2005. So yeah, and I've still got it. Actually, when Doug moved out to California and back to Wichita, I sold it to him for a while, and then he was going to get rid of it, and I bought it back. So I mean, it's still in the family. But yeah, then in 2006, our arrogance, we decided that, well, we're good now. Let's just change everything. It doesn't matter what we cook on, how we do. We're just good. And 2006 was pointed out to be our slump year, right after all the grand championships.
Couldn't do anything right, huh?
Well, I already told you we forgot lettuce at one contest. I mean, that's how bad we were doing. So yeah, it wasn't a good year. So we cook on pellets in the Rectech. I Rectech, Doug Rectech, Jeff Perry, who's not on tonight. He's a barrel guy, and
he's got a bullseye also too, though, doesn't he? Doesn't he utilize that some, or
he doesn't take that to contest?
He doesn't.
That's
okay,
a home deal. Yeah, he's got a Traeger that he brings to contest, but he barrels are his thing. But we've all changed a little bit here and there, and looking back on this, that's 23 years of seasons of cooking. That's staying up and leapfrogging with your teammate all night long. Somebody sleep 2 hours, the next guy 4, and that's tougher. That's tougher now. So the stick burner went to the wayside. We don't do that one anymore.
Well, and even the guys that do throw logs, everybody cooks hot and fast. No, there isn't anybody. If they're cooking low and slow, they're either first competition or they're on gummies or something. I don't know what they're doing. So, of course, in these questions I have, gummies did come up. But anyways, we'll move on.
That's a good point, though, Kevin. All that hot and fast wasn't really a thing, right? I mean, I don't know if it even was when you were, hanging around and bothering me a couple of years ago.
No.
It was all, we'd kick off the fire at 11, 12 o'clock at night, put meat on, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning or what have you. But there weren't too many people that would show up in the morning or just start and kick their fire off at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. There just nobody did that. It's very different.
Well, so because Brian used to cook quite a bit many years ago, before he's come back into it. Talk about that. Like, from what I understand, Doug, you couldn't pre-trim your meat before you show up to competitions back then. Is that correct? They wouldn't let you pre-trim stuff. You had to do it on site.
I don't know if it wasn't allowed. I'm not sure we were smart enough to do that. It's probably more of the answer, I think. We did everything on site back then. Marinades, sauces, all the trimming, everything we did on site.
Wow. Well, and that's where it's better to have an army, so to speak, to help with that stuff. Can you imagine trying to do that now solo? I mean, ribs are the thing I can do quickly, but the rest of that, chicken, I would cry, and I can do chicken fairly quickly now. So,
hey, Doug's questioning our intelligence, and he's 100% right. Because I'll tell you what else we used to do back in the early days, 2003 and 4. I guess maybe Andrew was helping in 2003 and 4, and then even beginning into 2005, Andrew and I, and then even Jeff, would cook everything. And what I mean was, Jeff would do 8 chicken thighs. I'd do them. Andrew would do a whole different set of. And then we'd have the famous, okay, it's time for turn in. Whose is better? Mine. And nothing. It was ridiculous, repetitive, and a whole lot of work, and got us nowhere. So we used
and a lot more expensive.
Well, of course it was. You don't have enough coolers to get all the stuff home that you don't turn in. It was just a terrible move all around. And there was, to some degree, a little bit of an inconsistency in reps with the KCBS back 25 years ago, where I'm not sure that every rep let us trim everything ahead of time, because I know there were questions. Some guys would really, really want to know if anybody trimmed anything ahead of time. Some would say you can't do it. You have to get clarification from somebody else to say, no, you got to have it in the original packaging and all that. It just depended on what rep you got. I mean, you could usually get the right answer if they would be willing to talk to somebody else. But it was a bit of a hassle at times. It was just not as consistent and understood.
Most of the Great American Barbecue, that was all trim there. You couldn't pre-trim. That was the one that was at, what was that? Whatever the dog track was called.
The racetrack. Yep.
Yeah.
Woodlands. Yeah,
Yep.
the Woodlands. Okay. Huh. That's so I want to kind of go back to the Elvis, the whole Elvis theme. Obviously, well, for those who have not seen you guys at the Royal walking around in the jumpsuits towards the end of the night and having a good old time. Where did that? You talk about the showmanship. You won that. The first year at Kearney. How did that morph? I know, Randall, you've kind of given me some stories, but talk about what that did for you guys. You guys are, you did that at quite a few comps, whether there was a showman award or not. I mean, you do it at the Royal. It's a lot of people know and look forward to seeing the Elvises come out in the jumpsuits and stuff. So kind of talk about that. Everything. What you do that at every comp, or did you back in the day? I know you don't now, but did you do that at every comp back in the day, or?
No, we didn't. And I'll tell you, it was a self-inflicted curse, because once we did do it, everybody was very disappointed if we didn't do it again. So every contest that we were at, where's the jumpsuit? Where's your glasses? When are you going to do this? When are you going to sing and all? And it was a little, some contests, well, especially now, and you guys probably do the same thing. You got your system set up. You roll in, you unload, you're ready to do what you're going to do. Kind of a Smokin Elvises Express is what I was calling it. I said, no, we're just Smokin Elvises Express. We don't have the stage show this time. And it became, hard to explain to people. And they were always disappointed. But when we did do it, I know that, barbecue, it was All-Star Barbecue Showdown. Doug used to wear, he still wears Big Blue. He would wear the full gold lame disco boots, right? 6-inch heels, Doug. Can't be far off.
What were you, like 8'3" then?
Well, exactly. And that's where I'm going. Plus the pompadour wig, right? Which throws another half foot on the guy. He's already 6.5 feet tall. And he would do the runs for us. He would take the food in, the turn-in trays. And so you, in essence, had a 7.5 foot Elvis in all blue going into the turn-in thing. And I think it was All-Star Barbecue Showdown for one of the seasons. Doug's in the opening credits on every single one. They're following him on this thing. It was such a cool visual.
Yeah.
And that's why we did. It was visual. It made us memorable. We also thought it kind of helps when you can't cook worth the crap. People remember you because you wear stupid outfits. So there was that. Yeah. And we used to, 2005 was the year that we met Irwin's, because we were talking about the compound and how all that worked.
Yeah.
Cooking beside them, and we cooked beside them every year at the Royal. They'd have a party. We'd have one Friday night. They'd have one Saturday night for, 10 years. And then we
double
decided,
party.
Yeah. And we said, well, why don't we just do this together? Because we got to know them. They were great guys, had a good time. We finally let's just have a party the same night. And then we eventually got, let's just do one tent. And then that got out of hand. And now it's one great big tent and everybody under one tent. And that's where the barbecue compound came from, there out at the Speedway. But we've been cooking beside him since, the West Bottoms for years.
Well, you keep the riffraff on the other side of the fence still.
Well, yeah, somebody go ahead and put you on the banner this last year. I don't know where that came from. I don't know. I don't remember the vote on that.
Well, I just want to make sure, Doug, I need to ask now that we're recording, do you like me?
Yeah.
I mean, because the last 2 years you
Oh, here we go.
forget about me. So I just we have it on recording. He said he does like me. He was hesitant, but he said that, so I needed to ask.
So at the dinner announcement this year, you have to be standing next to me and give me a nice little squeeze so I can remember all the names.
So,
Somebody's
so
got to
everybody,
write my speech down.
I know I'm short like Perry. You probably don't look down that far, so it's
I get up there, I get stage fright with all like 15 people in the tent.
Oh no, it's more like Kevin's just the FNG for the compound.
yeah. They know they can kick me back to my little spot around the corner if need be. So
You're still a pledge, Kevin.
yeah, I know.
Still a pledge.
Once a pledge, always a pledge.
It's always a pledge.
Gotta work those black marks off. So what is and it's probably going to be different for each of you guys, but what's your the accomplishment you're most proud of that you've done, or competition wise, that you guys have had? Silence is deafening.
Randall?
Oh, sorry. I felt like I was dominating. I was letting you talk.
Oh, no,
But
it's
no.
fine.
I'm happy to talk. Most probably, I think the one we're probably most proud of is fifth. What's fifth?
Fourth.
Yeah, fifth in brisket in the or was it fourth? Oh my God, I'm proud of it. I can't remember what it was. In 2005 in the Invitational in brisket.
Really, in the Invitational, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is
well,
fantastic.
we thought it was, and it sure was for us that like I said, we had a really, really good year, and with 2 grands that year, and that got us in there. And 2 chances to be drawn at the Jack, which we didn't get, but it was a big deal to us. It's we haven't replicated it since. So anytime I think that you're recognized and you get called in a field of nothing but champions, you can't help but feel a little bit of pride on that. So that's probably the one call that really that we'll probably always remember. I mean, that was a big deal, and it's hilarious because Jeff and I went to not expecting anything. Andrew stayed back at camp to help our neighbors, the Great Australian Barbecue Experience, fix their electrical problem with their camper because nobody expected anything. So we got to go and
got to enjoy getting up there and all that.
Exactly.
Of course, no pictures probably because nobody had a camera phone back then or anything. So
well, no, they posted. Yeah, it was all the pro guys taking the pictures. It's the
okay.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that probably makes it also stick in my memory and more than anything is that we came back and he was just cussing mad.
That's hilarious. What about you, Doug?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, Kevin. I mean, literally every time I get a call, I'm thrilled. It's the same. I mean, I've had some decent ones at like the Invitational, the Worlds a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a low one, but it was a call. I mean, I love any call. I'm a call whore. I just like it. 9th place, I run up there exactly the same if it's a first place.
I don't disagree with you. It's exciting because you don't know if it's going to come the next time. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll be honest. Back, it's been a while, but since I've been able to compete with them. But one of my favorite things to measure myself on was I used to compete against Butcher David.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I could get my brisket close to him in the scores,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was a win for me. I ran home on a high, but then a lot of the other things just outside of the contest itself, right? Doing, different things or being involved in whatever extra charitable type things, or if there's a kids queue that I could help out with or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's really why, I like it. At this point for me, right? You see my scores, you see my history. I'm not there to collect the trophies. That's not what I'm doing. So,
well, and I don't think none of us are point chasers. I mean, it's we obviously love to cook. This is our sport, so to speak, so it is great when we hear our names and hear your friends' names and stuff like that. So that's the fun part about it, kind of talk about that because I know you guys do different stuff with barbecue outside of just competition. You've done a few classes down there in Wichita, haven't you, Doug?
yeah, I've been doing classes with Wichita Barbecue Store. occasionally. I was kind of hogging them last year and doing them all. And really, they weren't competition level classes, but I teach competition skills. But it was really to, new folks with grills.
Mm-hmm.
We'd go over different cooking styles. I do all the categories, and like chicken night, right? You do drummies, you do thighs.
Bailey Smith.
Sorry. You do drummies, thighs, you spatchcock, you do. So I would do that for all the different ones and do a couple. It'd be an hour and a half class for everybody at night. And then they'd have samples afterwards, after the classes. They were really great. And because it was more backyard, right? People just learning,
Sure.
It's a good thing. It's miserable when you buy a new grill and you attempt to cook your first brisket. That's the first piece of meat you throw on there. It's a scary experience. So good to help you through that.
That's cool. I knew when you were doing that, I was like, man, I do some classes, but to have it there at the Wichita barbecue store like that is a great asset because they have everything you need. And that's fun. And I've done a few competition classes, but I like the ones because we're always the guys that are on here that get the phone calls from our friends. Hey, how do I do this with ribs? How do I do this with the brisket? So you're like, it's cool because then you get pictures later on from somebody. Hey, look what I cooked for the family. And that's just kind of a fun, they succeeded. They made everybody happy. They're the best cook in the backyard or the neighborhood. And so that's always kind of a fun thing in there. So
one of the things we did was every night, it was good because we'd focus on one meat, right, a night. And for the price of admission, you got a full run of everything you needed that I was going to teach that night. So you took home a bag with everything you needed to follow the instructions to do exactly what we did in class that weekend. So if we marinade, we did. If it was a 3-stage rub, we did. Any of that was all included. And sometimes there was we do a thermometer if it was, a required thing. So we'd put things in there. Yeah, he was. The Wichita barbecue store is great for that. They want to make sure that they can take all that home.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
Well, yeah, because not everybody's like us that has $1 million of barbecue supplies that we use only 200 of it. But so they have everything they need so they can go replicate with just what they learned. So I love that. That's a really cool idea. I've never seen that anywhere. That's really cool. So
your next class, Kevin, I expect to be there and get everything.
Yeah, I'll give you everything. All right.
So with you guys cooking a lot of stuff, when you get to the bigger contests like the Royal or anything that has all the sides that you can throw in, how do you guys decide who does what?
Really, it's so like on the sides. Well, Randall and I. So at the Royal, right? Jeff lately he's been competing the last couple of years on their barbecue team there. He doesn't want to associate with us anymore. So really, it's Randall and I. Ray comes down, and then we'll just get together a couple of weeks before and decide. All right, we've got a potato, a vegetable. We've got these. Who wants to do what? And then we'll get together and just decide who wants to do what, because that's the goal. If we've tried in the past where let's just do it all together, and we're getting too old for that. That's way too much work. So we try to split and conquer.
So who cooks potatoes better?
Doug.
Okay. Who cooks dessert better?
Doug. Well, and that's the other thing too is sometimes we'll come to each other and say, "Hey, wow, just got a new recipe," or whatever the case is, and great, let's go with that, or whatever the case is. It's kind of one of those where it's obvious who's going to do what. All we need to do is discuss it and talk about it. And
Randall.
Oh,
Randall froze up.
Bye, Randall.
I'll let him back in.
So Doug, what's your favorite dessert you guys have entered in? Like what? You've been with them 22 years?
Oh,
no,
dessert?
18 years. 18 out of 20.
$20 bills. That's my favorite dessert.
$20 bills.
That's what gets the calls.
That's we don't.
Randall, the question was your favorite dessert in the 18 to 20 years for you and Doug.
Did you answer that, Doug? I'm curious.
He said $20 bills.
He said $1 bills, so he could go to one of those clubs.
That scholarship night.
They don't do that. Not,
Favorite dessert? Wasn't at the Royal, but we did a s'mores cheesecake that did real well at one contest. The only time that I remember us ever doing the dessert at the American Royal, because again, this would have been 2005. That was all on one day, right? The open and all the sides and the dessert. You're turning stuff in from 12 until a week from Thursday. I mean, it's every half hour something just go, and it's an entire day's worth of work. It was brutal. And it was Andrew's sister-in-law who did a pie, and we didn't do well with that one, but we didn't. No, I've done dessert probably 4 times in the entire history of 20 years doing this, and it's always been. I'm too tired to mess with it, so I don't have a favorite dessert. I'm done by then.
At the Royal, I still don't believe that those people make those. I think they buy them from some chef, and those things are just unreal. It's just amazing. So,
I was gonna say, my favorite dessert is whatever Irwin's is turning in that year.
True. Yeah.
That's good, because my favorite dessert was when you and I and Andrew and Jeff went on a walkabout. When Irwin's wanted to borrow my camper's refrigerator to keep their dessert in, and we went on walkabout, locked the trailer.
I heard you locked it.
They couldn't get in to get it for turn-in.
That was going to be my follow-up question that Mike sent me. See if they enjoy locking other teams' dessert in their trailer at turn-in.
So you got lots of dessert.
Well, no, because barriers be damned. They broke in and they crawled through a window or did whatever it took to get in there and get that dessert, which was fine. Shame on us for walking, but I know we put them through some heart palpitations by not being around. I'm sure they were running around like crazy for a while trying to find us.
So I know, Doug, you've entered some of the turkey smoke competitions that I've been at. I've seen you do that. I want to ask, because I've only done one. I did all right, but should you remove the plastic from the turkey before brining, or do you leave that on? Which is the best?
So normally I would suggest removing the plastic.
Okay. Does that allow more to get in there? Is that why?
Yeah. So the brine, unfortunately, does not penetrate the plastic bag as much as you think it would. and I want to thank all the Irwins for that question.
I was just Jim.
Yeah.
So I got to hear the story behind this one.
So the joke on it was double bagged and maybe triple bagged, and I wasn't looking. So I ripped the first bag, I dumped it into the brine, and then lo and behold, the next morning I pulled it out and I was like, what is going on? Yeah, it was still in the bag. It was still in the second bag. Yep. That is happening.
Hard to get it brined with plastic.
Yeah, the struggle is real.
The funny would have been if you got a call that way and you're like, well, no sense in brining.
Now everybody's gonna have the plastic bag on when they brine. So what kind of trailer do you guys cook on? Or cook in now, I guess it is. Is it regular?
Mine's kind of right over here.
See it in the background there, Bradley.
Yeah. It's a 20 foot, car trailer that I've modded out a little bit. It used to be
Boom Chicka Cow Cow.
Boom Chicka Cow Cow. Yep. From Olathe. So
you had to put a whole new suspension, axles, and floor in it, didn't you, when you got it?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, there was some work that needed to be done. Yes. The axles roll better, I found, when they're straight.
Oh,
so that works. So we took care of that. But yeah, we put the new skin on it, swapped out some stuff, got some refrigerators in there, did some electrical work. But it works well for a 2-person team. There's enough, clean up in the back, and then the beds are kind of trundle. So they flip up, and then the rest of the time, the beds are out of the way, and then you can line tables up all along the backside. So it gives you a lot of surface area there for that.
I love that wrap you have on there. That's one of the coolest wraps out there. It encompasses all sides and everything. So that's pretty cool.
That was BCC down here. Yeah, Big Corner Creative down in Wichita. They did an amazing job.
Yeah.
They actually took all 1,000+ screws out of the siding, laid the wrap, and then put all the screws back in.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah, it's an amazing wrap job they did. It was great.
Yeah.
So where do you guys store the jumpsuits at, and where's the changing room in that trailer?
Oh, that trailer's got plenty of room for changing. That's backstage central, man. We make the entrance from that thing. There's plenty of room. Plenty of room. Hell, we can have groupies in there at halftime. You know what I mean?
I think I recorded the one year at the Royal where you changed in Perry's trailer. That was entertaining, Randall. You were I think you had partaken in way too many drinks. You were having a hard time getting into it. I don't know if it was due to the size of the jumpsuit or the drinks, but
Or the size of him. The size of the drinks is normally an issue, right? There's a 1 hour ramp up before Elvis can, roll out.
True.
So we've got a 1 hour ramp up to get prepared and for the jumpsuits and the dancing and the other things that normally occur, the shenanigans that occur.
Shenanigans. That's good. Yes. We can't discipline our fans, guys. We got to give them the show.
Yep.
So the compound party did you dub it the compound the first year at the racetrack, or was it just in the last few years at the American Royal Party?
That was
2 years ago, I believe, right?
I think so too. I think that was when we officially all got to be under one roof and kind of got to go ahead from the Royal Committee proper to do it the way we're doing it. I think that's when it became the compound. And that might have also coincided with Jeff's, his offshoot A barbecue team wanting to do his own little deal there, made it from a 2-team tent to a 3-team. So it just it did kind of fit.
It turned into a compound. Yeah, that's another one of our not smart things. Instead of asking the Royal 10 years ago, hey, can we have one site with 2 teams? We used to have these rules that literally, and Jim is really tough on this. Like, there couldn't be a wheel from a smoker from the Elvises on the property line of the Irwin's American Royal spot.
This is
really tough.
This is coming from the team that's afraid to drive over 30 miles an hour with their trailer and go more than 30 miles from their house. So, and they're worried about how trailers are parked. So
I will tell you, if their trailer ever comes for sale, you should buy that same day, because it is a well-maintained trailer.
That is very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Randall, weren't you working on a trailer? We had talked within the last year. Is that still coming together, or what? I don't know if you've been cooking out of it or what the deal is.
I have, and I mean it's kind of a Smokin Elvises Express, right? It's a 6x12.
Okay,
small.
so it's a little bit bigger than mine. Okay, yeah.
It's plenty, right? It's for 2 people can crash in it overnight when needed, and there's enough room to do what we want to do. It has air if everything gets real hairy, heat wise. So works perfect, good enough for us. We don't bring the entire stage show. When we used to do it back when we were doing this in the early, the mid 2000s. We do 12, 13 contests a year. We don't do that anymore. Life gets in the way. We just don't. I don't think anybody does that. As far as Elvis's. Yeah. So we'll do 2 or 3, right? And so we just had to scale it down, and that's 6x12 is enough. So we're kind of making that one. It's the second year using it, so we're adjusting as we go, seeing what we need before we make big changes in it, and just kind of getting some figured out beforehand. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a big change from the old days, right? We'd have 2 trucks and 8-foot tables going off as wings out of the back.
Yep.
A giant 2-base tent, a 10x20 that took 2 hours to put together.
Like a carport thing, put poles together. Yeah. I still remember my first competition in St. Joe. I remember Jake Grombeck and I putting together a carport I'd bought at Menards the week before, putting it all up, and I look over and I see this guy just sitting there watching, just smiling. He's with his truck and easy up. And I said, I'm going to go introduce myself. He goes, okay. I walk over, and it's John Parrot Head. And I walk up, and John looks at me and he said, "First comp, isn't it?" I said, "How'd you know?" He goes, "You'll learn."
Right.
And that guy still, I think he won that year. You know, he shows up, simple, easy up, boom, 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 and he cooks like nobody else. Gets somebody to run his boxes, and you know he's a cooking machine. So good guy.
We ran those carports for a while, but one year I think it was Enid. I was with Ray when Ray was competing with me down here because he did that for like 6 years when Ray Arnaud when he was living down here. We were at Enid and a windstorm came up Saturday when we were tearing down the tent, and Ray ended up going about 12 foot in the air with the tent.
Wow.
And then it all came down at once, and it was all twisted like pipe cleaners, and that was the end of that. Easy ups.
You just put it off. Yeah, they'll take care of that. I don't know.
Exactly what happened.
No, we were at the Great American Barbecue one of the years. Trailer sitting there, but I didn't have my fridge or anything in there, just coolers and pop-ups outside with tables and smokers. We all go to bed, microburst. We wake up, everything's there, but all of our easy ups, they're all gone.
Gone.
Like, all right. Cooking
As
on
long as
asphalt.
As long as it doesn't rain.
There were a lot of easy ups that lost. They were lost that night.
Yeah.
Easy up made a killing the next week with the orders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Randall, kind of side out of competition, you and your dad run a catering business as well out of Kearney.
Yeah.
You do some catering. Talk about that.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we do quite a bit of catering. You know, he's retired from the animal health industry, so this is something that he's pretty passionate about. He's an animal science guy, lived on a farm his whole life. I raised cattle my whole life, so the whole barbecue thing was kind of a natural rollover for him to do when he's retired. Something to do. So we've got a facility out here on our 100 acres in Kearney where we do weddings and class reunions and all that kind of stuff. And we also do on-site catering and drop catering. But the biggest thing and Dad's biggest passion that's up, melded into Updike Barbecue is first responders appreciation. He runs an organization where we feed ambulance drivers, cops, firemen, firefighters, nurses, all kinds of any first responder type person. We used to have everybody come out to the farm once a year. We have about 300 people out there with their families and feed them. And we had so many sponsors and so many fantastic gifts and door prizes that everybody would end up winning. Every family would end up winning twice. I mean, you put the ticket back in, and I'm not talking about, erasers and kazoos. It was big screen TVs and things like this. The Remax balloon and that kind of stuff out there. And then COVID kind of, which we're all familiar with how that changed the world. We aren't doing it at the farm anymore. Now we go to, let's say we're going to, it's all in Clay County and some of Platte County. We'll go to the Kearney Fire Department on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever, and feed all three shifts, a dinner and that kind of stuff. So that's a big part of what we do catering wise. And then again, with the actual wedding venue and places like that. And that too gets in the way of trying to compete, right? I mean, you start to get where weekends are where those things happen. So it's hard to go and run off to a contest when you have somebody getting married or whatever the deal is.
Well, do you make money or lose a lot? One of the
I didn't want to be so crass, Kevin, and say that.
Well, it's reality.
Guaranteed money versus gambled money.
There it is, right, Bradley? It's either it's pay 500 or make 1,000. It doesn't take long to figure that out. That we're on the wrong end of this silly equation.
Yeah. Well, that's a great. I mean, I see your dad post those a lot. The different police stations, fire stations he goes to. So that's a really. You and I have talked about that. I just think that's a really cool deal. Finding a way to give something back that you can.
Absolutely.
With that. So yeah.
Doug, are you in your garage or is that an outbuilding?
It's my shed. Yep.
That's a pretty big
That's
shed.
right.
Yeah.
Is that trophies behind you?
Yeah, it's the wall of mediocrity. I like to keep it out there.
You got about 30 more than I got.
And then behind the double door there, the gray door, that's where the kitchen is. So I've got a commercial kitchen out here.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. My wife kicked me out of the house and said I wasn't allowed to prep barbecue anymore. So I had to come out here. So this is
Yeah.
where we spend all our barbecue time.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
Cleaning.
Graceland West, boys. That's Graceland West.
Graceland West. You got the big fence around the property and everything, and
Yep. I don't want to move the camera, get you guys motion sick, but I've got all around the outside. I've got all the banners from the Royal, and I have one I can't show because somebody probably, I don't know, has it been more than 7 years? 7 years done.
Oh,
We may have one of the very large banners from the Royal.
I helped. I witnessed and I helped make sure that could happen. All I know is somebody comes running through my spot with this big, hide me! I need to go in your trailer. Okay. then that stayed in my trailer for a while. We're going to get kicked out. So. Yeah, staff
Right,
only.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what happens when you secure a staff only vest out there, or security, or whatever it was.
I was working, man. I was working. Hey, look, before this thing wraps up, I'm gonna tell you guys another story real quick. This is Harry Sue was on. Fantastic, guys. Nice get. Harry's a great guy, right?
Yep.
So congratulations for having him on the deal. I've never met him, but he kind of publicly said he doesn't like us. And I'll tell you why. 2009. I'm not sure what year you finally we got the blue outfit, Doug. When I went red from white,
we had it.
It was about then, right? I mean, I don't know if it was our first year. It might have been because I had the white cape on the red, which is so gauche. But Harry Sue, season 1, Barbecue Pitmasters, episode 5.
Yep.
The pre-trailer, before the pre-credit thing, is him complaining about the American Royal, because that's where this particular episode is being shot. Complaining because, it's not like most contests, right? We all know that. It's loud. There's parties. There's drinking, and there's parties, and there's drinking.
The dark side.
So there's a quick flash of a big party. And then they go into the show. At the 14.5-minute mark, when Harry is complaining about how he got no sleep the night before, because of the 300 drunk people having a party next door to him, they flashed the footage of the party. And again, this is about 14 minutes and 30 seconds in. Clear as a nose on your face, red Elvis, white Elvis, blue Elvis, pushing this party up. So again, I've never met Harry. He doesn't, he's publicly said he doesn't like what we do, but we're trying not to hold it against him.
Just so you know, I wasn't able to get on the podcast, but Brian did tell him, hey, if you come to the Royal, I'm sure the bum would invite you to the compound party. Didn't say anything about Elvis's, so that would be hilarious if Harry Sue comes in and you guys come walking out of the trailer. Be like,
that'd be awesome.
Oh, God, that'd be hilarious.
Oh, you traumatized the guy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the kind of brush of greatness. The brush with fame. That's how we roll. We got about 3 seconds on a show 15 years ago. We're always right around what's going on, but not really in what's going on. Barbecue with Bobby Flay. They came to our camp and talked to us for a while.
You told me. Yeah. Okay.
It was great.
Yeah.
We didn't make the cut. The only thing that made the cut was the over narrator talking about how everybody's exhausted by staying up all night and manning their cooker. And they got a picture of Jeff and Andrew asleep right beside the smoker with their feet on the firebox. We give them 20 minutes of good stuff, and it's like, okay, well, we just want you two jerks sleeping.
They famous at least.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's hilarious. Shameless plug. How were the hot bum brats, Randall?
They were very good. I told you they sold out, right? I couldn't get any more.
Yep. Yeah.
I bought a bunch for the guys at work. It was great, and I've used your rub, of course, plenty of times on brisket and things. It's got a nice kick to it. It's clearly amplified in the sausage with the serrano
Yeah.
pepper.
Yeah, the Serranos, we got a lot of feedback. Not everybody likes hot as much as I do, so we
I
might have
thought
to
they were great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved them. They were great.
Yeah.
The guys at work loved them. I couldn't, I tried to get more,
Yeah.
honestly, and they were sold out and said, we're making some more later. So they're fantastic.
I was excited when they asked. So I know they're going to try the people whose rubs that because now they sell more, they're going to try and do something like that and kind of rotate them through a little bit. So that'll be good. But yeah, Jim actually just sent that. Get a shameless plug in. So
yeah,
that's funny. So do you guys do any rubs or sauces or anything like that?
Oh, we do. We've got a Smokin Elvis rub, or excuse me, we had a rub. We don't really follow up with that one anymore. We kind of, that was a one-time shot. Enjoyed it, but the sauce has been the better run for us. So Smokin Elvises, no G, smoking. You guys cook, there's no G. It's smoking. Elvises.com. We do our own barbecue sauce. It's available a few places around. Mostly it's an online deal, but we do use it. I know that there are a lot of teams that have a sauce, and if you buy it, you think you're going to have what they're using at the contest, and that's not always the case. But it is what we use, and it's got all of our pretty mugs on there with the full farm animal caricatures. So we've been doing that about 10 years. I didn't realize it had been quite that long, but Doug told me that right as we were starting up tonight.
I've had it a couple different times at home. I like it. I like some of the flavor on it. So it's good stuff.
If you want to get back into the rub industry, I'll white label you my Thai Dragon.
I love your Thai Dragon. I do. Did you tell them that that's all I did on my turkey a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
That's it. That was my rub on my turkey for the American Royal. Was I rolled that thing in Thai Dragon like I was breading up fish, and that's all it was that Thai Dragon powder. And man, it had, what we always have said for years was love it or hate it. You'll know you ate it, and that was what that was. It had some kick. It was
everyone before your turkey got great scores.
That's right.
Everyone after, nope.
That wasn't the intention, but that was the consequence. That I'm sure if you bit ours first, everybody else tasted like us. You were done. But I do love that stuff, right?
Did you get to watch the episode with Rob Hamilton? Oh no, it hasn't aired yet. That'll be that's aired. So there's one that's coming up in a few weeks. Rob Hamilton, he's a good friend of Brian's. Great guy. He grows hot peppers, like stuff hot. Like Thai Dragon, and like I was laughing so hard. The names of these peppers are like, got the purple dragon snizzler snozzle, and I got and I'm serious. And these are names of peppers. He grows them. He grows them in his Cinnapot Slimer, and he grows them in his basement, and then there's like the black dark web of selling seeds of hot peppers, and he trades and sells seeds and does all this stuff. It's a pretty cool episode. You should like it. I thought it was really cool.
Is that the black market of it?
Laboratory on, or was that before?
What'd you say?
Where he walked us through the whole plastic room.
He walked us before he aired that, because he was sitting down there in the air. But yeah, it's kind of like he goes, "Here, I go into this room in his basement, and he's moving plastic, and he's got heat lamps." I go, "Is this where Dexter was filmed?" It's pretty interesting though. Some of that stuff. I don't know if Doug's camera's working or anything.
Yeah,
just to let you guys know, we're about 54 minutes.
It ran, and I got this is one that Irwin shot over, but I remember this because I witnessed it. Tell us about the solar chicken trim technique.
I can't believe it. Are these guys writers for this episode? How much are you going to take from
They-
this client?
They asked if they could be guest interviewers, and we'd bring them in halfway through.
We should have.
Look,
I will
had to do
answer
some
that
trimming.
and tell you that you should be sober when you trim chicken. At the
true.
Royal, especially.
No.
And not wait until the day of drinking is over on Saturday before you start trimming your chicken, because bad decisions are made.
Well, my trimming was like at 11:30 at night after not just a small bottle of Fireball, but a very large bottle of Fireball my first year at Lee Summit competition. And when you on this last thigh and you slice your thumb and you go like this and you're like, hey, grab the first aid kit. Like, where is it? In the van. Where's the van? Oh, they made me park it up the hill. And Jake Gronbeck has to go around and found one guy awake that had a first aid kit. The guy was as drunk as I was, but he was a paramedic. So at least they had a rough idea how to wrap my thumb up. So that was when I think we got almost DAL in every meet. And I said, I'll never do that again. So that was no more Fireball like that. The little bottles are okay, but not the big bottles. So
Not the big ones.
no.
Look, I'm going to throw one quick defender out there for the solar chicken, which the solar marinade, and that's what I had to fall back to call it. But I'm just doing my regular trimming. It's just you do what you do, right? And it might have taken me a few minutes longer, and the sun actually freaking moved, and now I wasn't in the shade anymore. So I was headed on the table, or maybe the wall fell down to the tent. I'm not completely sure, but I just want to make sure that Seeley hears this and watches this episode, so that I can remind the world and all your wonderful listeners that I beat his ass in chicken at the Royal with that. And then we went to Sugar Creek here this past weekend, and it was rainy and terrible. And he beat me in chicken because the solar marinade was not an option. So I'm just saying that's what I'm doing on.
It's kind of the pre-cook before the cook.
I can't do it in the clouds. So if the sun's out, I got his number. That's all. That's what I'm saying.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we're at 57 minutes.
All right. Do you guys have any sponsors or anybody you want to recognize? There you go. You get the Elvis glasses
Finally, an
on.
Elvis outfit.
I just would, you got to have them within reach, right? Just in case.
Yeah. Do you guys have any sponsors or anybody you want to, call out or recognize on here? Doug or Randall?
I do not. We're sure. Extra money or anything like that. You got to make sure for everybody with sponsors that somebody's not buying that. So we do that for you.
Okay.
Didn't get
Where?
Hey, Kev,
Randall,
you
you
want to set up?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm coming through right. I'm at a power outage right now. I'm running through my cell phone. Yeah, all the power's out. It's dark. I can't. I don't know if Jim was able to bring this up. I can't remember when he was on the Irwins, but for the Royal, we're seriously considering doing a Saturday afternoon event, a get together for everybody. And I just, I'd love to get some feedback on what people think. We were going to do a kind of a buffet bar, sticker trade, things of that. Anybody that wants to come,
cool.
We love doing that. The stickers around, trading them with the different teams, and collecting up and putting them on trailers. So we're thinking about hosting that on Saturday, and I'd love to get some feedback on that. What folks?
Yeah.
I'd post that on social media. I guarantee that'd go over good.
Yeah, we would definitely get that out there. That's I like that idea. That is a good one. That's good. That's good. So,
yeah, we talked about doing it as kind of a sticker happy hour, right, guys? But from on before guys are going to the invitational awards, everything's done. They're turned in. They got a couple hours or whatever because nobody's packing up to leave, right? Because he opens it, so you've got a couple of hours. Most of the time we got a drink or two left over there. So that's what we were thinking. So maybe you guys, people that are watching can comment on that and think that we thought it was a great idea. Everybody come over with some stickers and we can all swap it out and
No, that's a good idea. I love that. Yeah, we'll definitely get that out there.
And
So,
we're out of time, so.
all right, guys. Well, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
Have
for
a good
coming
evening.
on.
Appreciate you coming on, Doug and Randall. Smoke them.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome if you got them.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, fellas.
Yep.
Thanks.
Take care.